Anybody else? I pray for Derek Shamlin. He's really sick with COVID. Pray for Miss Joe. She's getting better. She's been sick. I don't think she had COVID. I'm not sure what she had, some virus, but she's been really sick for about 2 weeks, and she's getting better. Gracie called and wanted to come tonight. I said, no, you can stay in her house. It's protocol. You're not going to come tonight. Maybe you can come Sunday. If everybody's better, by today, then by Sunday you can come. So, anybody else? We have several friends that are having issues, and I pray you ask you to pray for them. Okay, for church family and neighbors and friends that are just having problems. Okay. Anybody else? How's Raymond's brother doing? Anything else now? Right. 2 in the morning when you think about it, so you don't. Okay. All right, anybody else? Anybody with a prayer request, unspoken request you want to pray about, not to mention out loud? All right, Alan, will you lead us in prayer? Amen. Okay, we're glad you're here tonight. I want to tell you what to go to the lesson with that I had with the kids just a few minutes ago, and then we'll go to our lesson in 2 Corinthians. We have one word for our lesson last week. Do you remember what it was? One key word from our lesson last week. So all you ever do your students at school that way. What was the word yesterday? What was a key word from yesterday? The bell. That was the key word. Time. Time's over, we believe. That's the key word. No, I'm just kidding. That's the bell. Anybody remember? The kids didn't remember last week, but Jennifer did. She was so excited. I got it. I remember it was grace. Gracious. Last week was our word gracious. What does the word gracious mean? Do anybody remember? We can go back and teach the lesson again. Do what? Giving us something we don't deserve. Grace. Right? He's better to us. God is better to us than what we deserve. And a lot of times our arrogance thinks we deserve better than what we get. Okay? God is good to us all the time. We gave the illustration of, if we had land divided up in farms, everybody would have. If everyone was divided up into farms out here, whether you were good or bad, the weather would be the same for everybody in Sissonville. We all get good weather. God's take care of us. God's good to everybody, good or bad. Okay. It rains on the just and on the unjust. He said. Okay. So tonight we're going to a matching word to the word grace, which means God gives us better than what we deserve, or more than what we deserve, is the word mercy. Okay, mercy means He doesn't give us what we deserve. Right? When someone you go to the courtroom, you've broken the law, commit some crime, you confess to it and say, I'm guilty, but I don't want the punishment for it. So you plead the mercy of the court. Right? That's what mercy means. He asked Him not to give you the sentence that you deserve. That's God's mercy. When Jesus died on the cross, He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He wasn't saying they're not guilty. He said, forgive them and don't give them the hell that they deserve. In reality, though, if we look at this, every one of us deserves to go to hell. But God, because of God's mercy, He doesn't send us there. Because of God's grace, He gives us a better life here on this side of eternity, plus the promise of eternity when we pass. Right? So the grace and mercy kind of go hand in hand, which I think to me is tremendous once you understand them. And then Luke chapter 6, verse 36, be therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful. That means we don't have to go through life responding with judgment on other people if we learn to be merciful. Right? Remember when Jesus gave this illustration of a man that was forgiven a huge debt? His Lord, his master, called him in and forgave him 500 talents or whatever the term was. Forgave him a huge debt. And then that same man went out and grabbed his friend who owed him a little bit of money and grabbed him by the throat and said, pay that thou owest. That guy didn't understand what mercy was. If he was given all this mercy from God, shouldn't he turn around and give the same mercy to somebody else? Be therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful. So we don't have to reply to life, respond to life with other people. We don't have to treat others as we've been treated. We'll put it that way. Okay? If you think someone is mistreated. Any questions or comments on mercy? Questions? Illustrations of mercy. Charlie, you ever give kids a better grade than what they deserve? Why? Because you don't want them next year, you pass them on through? Marie did that. It's English class. No, she didn't. Marie did not do that. Um, when I was taking trips with Jim Summers, he talks a lot about teaching. He was a teacher. And David has done this too. Because David remembers everybody, every student they ever had, their parents and all that, how they're related to who, whatever. Jim Summers talks about the students that put forth effort, as Charlie said. And I mentioned someone one day. I said, was he a good math student? Jim taught math, algebra, whatever it was. And I said, was he a good math student? He was not a natural math student, but he worked hard at it. And if he got something wrong, he wanted to know how he got it wrong or why he got it wrong. And so that's pretty good. I'd rather have someone who, if they get it wrong, they find out why they got it wrong, and come back and say, "Now I know that 2 + 2 is 4. I thought it was 5. Now that you've shown me, taught me, then someone who naturally understands 2 + 2 = 4. Right? Does that make sense? So you get. Sometimes you want to give more grace towards the person that tries, puts forth the effort. I can't teach on child rearing because we only had one. Someone told me, when Hillary Clinton wrote a book on child rearing, Bill Cosby, before he was discredited for life, he said she has no business writing a book on child rearing because she only raised one. If you're raising 6 kids, then you understand more about child rearing than you do about one. Is that right, Jonathan? You got 3, right? If you only had one, it'd be easy. It's easy. You know who got in the cookie jar, right? And it changes. It changes with 3, right, Charlie? It's just one, okay? Okay. I remember in Sunday school class one day, Larry Shampin said, they had a perfect child. Then they had Derek. Right? And everybody knows Derek laughed in class because Derek's hilariously funny. He's a great kid and a great guy. Of course, he's really sick right now with COVID. But I thought, these things, whenever someone's name's mentioned, I go through the funny stuff in life rather than, okay. So, mercy, okay? Do we understand mercy? Do we give it? Do you give it towards people? Do you show mercy? Be therefore merciful as your Father in heaven as your Father is merciful. He gives it to us all the time. We ought to be that way. It's like letting someone in. I forget what it was. We were going through Cross Plains or something today or yesterday. Traffic was real heavy and no one was letting somebody out. Give them a break, let them out. Let them cut into cross traffic. Of course, that's the person that slows down. And you miss the green light because they slowed down. That's the way it works. But no good deed will ever go unpunished, right? So there's a line from a cowboy movie. You're good, bad, and ugly. Okay. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Let's go there. In a couple chapters here, Paul's justifying his ministry. He'd gone to Greece, the Corinthian people. He led them to Christ. He started a church and sent back letters to them. And I want to look at a couple of different things, but about Paul personally, and then I want to look at one subject specifically. We'll get to it. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, look at verse 11. I'm become a fool in glorying, because he's bragging on what he's done, not really bragging. I'm become a fool in glorying, ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you. For in nothing am I behind in the very chiefest of apostles, though I be nothing. He said, I'm nothing at all, but I've done everything that I'm supposed to be doing. Truly, the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience and signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein you were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you for giving me this wrong? Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you, for I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. I'm going to talk on this for just a minute. We're going to get back to this because Paul said, okay, most preachers, even at this day, going back to Old Testament days, the Levites made a living of serving in the temple, serving the tabernacle. Okay, and Paul said, I've done everything that all the other apostles have done, except for the fact that I didn't take any money from you. and I laid up for you guys. Okay, as a parent lays up for his children, so if children, he went through this, and I think it's this way too. Parents should try to save back money or do stuff for the kids, and kids shouldn't have to save up money so that parents have something. It happens sometimes, but parents shouldn't have. Kids shouldn't be, as he said it, put it this way, parents shouldn't look at themselves and say, I'm going to become a burden to my kids. Okay, I look forward to being a burden to my children. Okay, this guy had 5 boys, had a bumper sticker on his car. I knew the guy. He said, live long enough to become a burden to your kids. So it was a joke, he's a good guy. But okay. Apostle Paul said, I've done everything all the apostles did, only the fact that I wouldn't take any money from you, and even as a church. And when he started the church, he said, I would not take money from you. Okay, verse 15 says, I will very gladly spend and be spent for you. Stop reading right there. We won't read the whole verse. I'm going to get to the second part of the verse. Look at verse 14. The middle of the verse, it says, for I seek not yours but you. He wanted to make sure these people understood he didn't want their money. Okay, he wasn't serving there to get rich. Okay, there's no pastor that I know that are real pastors that do it for the money. Okay, that serve to get rich. Okay, now the TV evangelists and some of the other some doctrines, that's it's the idea that's their security plan is that they get a lot of money. Okay, but Paul said, and I love the idea that he said in the middle of verse 14, for I seek not yours but you. My heart's desire is for you, not for you to give me stuff. Okay. Paul felt obligated, like a parent, to supply the needs of these people. Okay. But I want to look at verse 15. I want to go to the last part of that verse. I want to look at one subject for just a couple minutes. Okay. Now, we may be done really early tonight with this, but I don't want to tarry on this very long. I will very gladly spend and be spent for you, though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. I want to go on that text, on that last line. He said, the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. It means the more I give for you, the less I seem to be given back. The more I serve you, the less I am served. Or the more that it costs me to serve you, the less I paid back. But the more abundantly I love you, the less I'm loved. There's we see this a lot of times, and I don't know who the lesson's for or whatever, or maybe just so we can understand other people a little bit better. There's a lot of people who have one-sided relationships, okay? And I've seen this. I know of a pastor I thought he was in it for the money. He may be in it for a good reason to begin with or whatever, but I felt that this man was in it for the money, and it was all about him, it was all about him, it was all about him, it was all about him. The church refinanced the church to pay for his house. I mean, so there's a lot, it was all about him and his finances, and it kind of bothered me. A lot of times we see that in ministry with people sometimes. When we started the church, I compared that when we started this church, Bible Baptist Church. I compared that pastor with Preacher Dave, who went to the bank and had a note against his house while we borrowed money, so we could borrow the money to start the church. Okay, to buy this building. Okay, so it was, I think it was $60,000 or something against his house up on Guthrie to put it as a down payment, not really a down payment, but collateral against the church building. So when we bought the church building, so that's Preacher Dave was completely different from what these other preachers are. A lot of times we see these one-sided relationships with people. There's a lot of men that are abusive towards their wives, and you hear about them. Hope you're not one of them. That it's a one-sided relationship where she could look at him and say, the more I love him, the less I'm loved. And the more I do for him, the less. Tam and I were at I know exactly where we were. We were at a funeral home, and a lady walked up to her husband, and he was having a conversation, and she walked up to him, and she stood there for a moment, and he spoke to her like a servant, okay? Like he was kicking dust off his feet, okay? And in my mind, I thought, that's not manly leadership, the way he spoke to that woman, the way he spoke to his wife. There was a man in our church one time spoke to his wife that way, and we were out in activity, and I thought, man, this ain't going to last. If that's the way he talks to her publicly, I wonder what he does privately, okay? He's abusive publicly, verbally with her abusive, and then their marriage didn't last but a couple of years. Okay. There are men that are abusive. There are wives that are that the husbands can say, no matter what they do, no matter how much they love their wife, their wife doesn't love them back. Okay, the more I love you, the less I be loved. You see this at times, and hopefully I'm. Now I don't know everyone's situations in the room, everybody how you are at home. I see children that are spoiled beyond measure, and I'm sure the teachers have seen this more than anybody else in life. But I've seen kids come through here, and neighbor children and family members or whatever. There's no amount of giving that the parent can do to make the kid happy. The kid's going to be the whiner, complainer, manipulative. We were in an activity one time, and a 4-year-old said about her mother to somebody else. She said, "Sometimes I just don't know how to control her." That was not the daughter. That was not the mother talking about the daughter. That was the daughter talking about the mother. Because 99% of the time, the 4-year-old had complete control of her mother. Okay, what does that mean? The more I love you, less I'll be loved. Okay, to me, that is someone that has spoiled the child to the point where that child's never going to love a parent. Okay, and until the child learns to love, until the child learns to give. I referred to this episode 1,000 times in the last 15 years. If you've never seen it, you need to go get the video. Opie and the Spoiled Kid. Mayberry. There you go. Opie and the Spoiled Kid, little boy with a bike. Ever seen it? Y'all know what episode I'm talking about? Little boy's bratty kid. Would rather his dad go to jail than him lose a bike. I bet y'all know what Marie's not her head, Jonathan. Everybody, if you haven't seen it, look it up. Google search or whatever. Do what? If you got the right channels, you'll get it all the time. We got it on the DVD. So once we got it on DVD, and I'd seen it before, and that just stuck out to me. And as a picture of so many people's lives. Okay, I think about the riots that took place last summer all across the country. Was Black Lives Matter or whatever the issues were? The riots that took place, burning police buildings, and different things that are going on. People hate America. I've talked to people that hate our country. And I'm like, no matter what they do, no matter what our people, the people that live here, that work for everything that you have, no matter what they do, you're never going to be satisfied with it. The more they love you, the less they're going to be loved. And the more that is given to people, sometimes it just the scales get tipped, right, in the wrong direction. Until you have one person that does all the loving and one person does all the receiving. Okay, whether it's love, finances, whatever it is. Okay, I've seen this in business. There was a coal mine in eastern Kentucky. It's 600 employees, and I'm not an anti-union person. I belonged to 2 different unions in my lifetime, but this illustration is an anti-union story. There was a coal mine in eastern Kentucky. It had 600 employees. The union representative told the union members, the miners, to strike because they weren't going to accept the deal. Okay. The company came back and said, "Here's our books. We will sell you the company for $1 if you can run them at the wages that you're demanding and what you're expecting. We'll sell you the company for $1 if you can run it at that." And they said, "You have 2 sets of books." They said, "This is our books." And the person that gave me the story was the son of the accountant at the business, and I knew he knew the deal. The people were getting really good wages. Okay, the coal miners at that time were getting really good wages. I mean, I look at it and say, 30 years ago they were making more money than what I'm making now. I mean, they make good wages. Well, Johnny worked underground, it's a deadly job, and all that. We understand it, but they were saying we deserve more. Completely opposite of grace, of understanding that we're getting better than what we deserve. Right? We deserve more. We deserve more. We deserve more. And the company said, if you can run it, we'll sell it to you for $1 if you can do it at those wages. And the union representative told the union members to strike. Okay, and no matter what the company people did, and again on this one I take the company side on it because I know this side, the company side of the story. No matter what the company did, they were going to strike. They went on strike. They shut the mine down. The 600 miners lost their jobs completely. So they went from, and this 30 years ago, they went from $80,000 a year to zero. Okay, well, they get unemployment for 13 weeks or whatever after that, but they want $80,000 a year when I was making $10,000 a year, and they went from $80,000 a year to zero, and the union representative walked away saying, "We showed them he got to keep his job, his six-figure job being paid by the unions. He still got his job, but the 600 other men lost theirs." Okay. And so the company was like, no matter what we do, the Christian guy that told me the story, no matter what was going to be done, they weren't going to accept it. Okay? A lot of times people just take and take and take and take and take. Don't be a taker. Be a giver. Okay? And then don't worry about when you get paid back or not. Because it's not up to someone else to pay you back. God always pays you back. Okay? Giving it should be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, social men, given to your bosom. God says, I want you to be a lover. I want you to be a giver. I want you to do for other people. Don't worry about paying back. I'll pay you back. No matter how big a handful you give somebody else, God's going to give a handful back to you, and his handful is a lot bigger. Okay? Okay. Here's scripture. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Whatever you invest in, you're going to follow it. Okay? I've got friends that talk about stocks all the time. The only stocks I've had in the last 30 years has been four-legged animals at the farm. Okay, but I've had friends that they're big, they're bankers, and they talk about stocks and this one and that one, and they made 22% this past year. One guy's his stock made 40%, whatever. He studies that stuff, looks at that stuff every day because his investment is there. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So what are we supposed to invest in, Brother John? People. Okay. Even if you get to the point where you're like Paul, where he said, the more I love you, less I'll be loved. He was talking, Paul was writing to this church family and say, man, you act like you hate me when all I'm doing is telling you the truth and giving you good stuff. Okay? And that's the way they treat him. Okay. Okay. So what do you invest in? Work, money, whatever. Some people invest in video games. That's all they ever have. Invest in people. And it doesn't matter how much you give. God pays you back. Okay? I don't think Paul was disappointed. He said this to these people, but if you read the rest of the letter, man, he loved these people. Okay? The more I love you, less I'll be loved. And I don't think he was ever disappointed in how they treated him. He just said, they don't get this. If you turn over about 2 pages and go to Galatians chapter 1, we're not going to read it, but you go to Galatians chapter 1, he says, how can you turn away from the gospel so quick? You know, he delivered the gospel to them, they got saved. How can you turn to another gospel so quickly and let someone comes and preach another gospel, let them curse? Okay. Anybody got questions? Comments? Yes, sir? That's like plan ahead, put money up. That's all like a basketball layup. Okay, it is. Parents ought to help plan for the kids. Parents ought to help plan for the kids and plan up for the kids. Okay, I think according to scriptures. Okay, good man layeth up treasure for his inheritance for his children's children. Okay, the inheritance that I have now is my grandfather gave me. Okay, the farm that we live on. I don't own it, but the farm we live on is my grandfather built a house. So that's who we laid up for his grandchildren. Okay, or his children. So your investment. There are situations where a sick parent never works, and children spend their whole adult life taking care of their parent. Okay, that's okay when it has to happen. But the main line on that is he was using it as a pastor taking care of his people. But the main goal is take care of your kids, take care of your kids, take care of your kids. Not spoil them, but take care of them, meet their needs. Okay. Right. we're teaching their kids. There are hundreds of children that have grown up in this church that don't serve anywhere today as adults. They don't go to church anywhere. They don't serve in any capacity. And part of it is they weren't taught to serve in any way. We have a point system that we're handing out to the kids tonight. They get a point for coming on Wednesday night, bringing the Bible, acts of service, whatever. But what they get, I can't remember. I think they get twice as many points for being caught in an act of service. Like the adults, their teacher knows that they did this act of service. They get twice as many points for an act of service as they do for bringing the Bible. Okay, it's important to bring the Bible. We'll get a point every week for bringing the Bible. It's all for this games and story stuff at the end of so many weeks. But it's just as important to teach a kid to work and to serve. Okay, the happiest people we ever meet is those who serve. Okay. Yesterday I got a call from Charlie's friend, pastor down here, Ben, called me. He said, "Can we use your baptism? We want to baptize." We have an 80-some-year-old man that's really sick and wants to get baptized before he passes. And he said, "Can we use your baptistry?" I said, "When?" He said, we decided it was good. This is on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. He said, "How about tomorrow at 5 o'clock?" Okay. Well, we had Christmas decorations and stuff. I said, "Yep." So I came out to clean up last night and to do everything I could to clean up, run the water, and turn the heater on the baptistry. It was warm for me to baptize with and all this stuff. I said, "We've got to fill it up. Can't do it. It's going to take several hours for the baptistry to heat up and all that stuff." So 20 minutes after I got here and I put stuff away, here comes Michelle and Charlie Boyd and Mary Sheila and Cindy, and they came in. And of course they played around for a few minutes, but as soon as Michelle said, "Help me," then they were carrying stuff up the steps. Okay, we need to take it because there's stuff in the classroom over here. The Christmas decoration stuff need to go upstairs and be put away. So as soon as she said, I don't think she had to ask me any of them twice. And as soon as she said, "Help me with this," okay. So I helped a couple times when my knee kills me. I hate steps. Anyway, so she asked, "Charlie, you can be proud of your kids." Well, you are anyway. But you can be proud of your kids because as soon as she said, "Help me with this stuff," they're making all the trips, whatever trips they need to go up steps. And we got done, and I said, "Mary, there's that one white box in there. Is that Christmas stuff?" I didn't look inside the box, and she went and looked, come back. She said, "No, it's not Christmas. It's something else." So, okay, so immediately served. Okay, taught that. That's got to be taught. There are adults that that will let you serve them all day long and never pick up a cup to help. Okay. When Jared and Rebecca got married and the wedding was here and then the reception was at our house, we talked to a caterer about catering the meal at the reception at our house. Okay. I forget now. I think it's like $2,700. I was like, we can't do that. We want to feed about 100 people. That's $2,700. We take everybody for Golden Corral for that. Not that we would, but okay. People made stuff, cooked stuff. I think Faith made a bunch of those cupcake things, the Reese peanut butter cupcakes or something like that. I think Faith made cupcakes for their wedding thing. I mean, just everybody that. To me, what is that? It's acts of service. Okay, there are friends of ours that don't even live here. They've been in our house 3 times in their life. They live away, but they were here for the wedding. And so when something was running out, we were running out of whatever it was, they were grabbing the next crock pot and setting things up and just automatically serving and doing the dishes or whatever needed to be done. And automatically, and there's a lot of young people that have never been taught to pick up a spoon to help somebody else, or pick up a napkin, or do anything. They're not taught to set the table, or to clean up for themselves, or anybody else. Okay, who's going to be the ones that are successful in life? The ones who learn to serve. Okay, the ones who learn to pick up stuff and just automatically do it. My mom had a couple over at our house. I can't remember when this was. It's probably about the time. Maybe shortly after Tammy and I got married, but my mom had all our family was in, and there were some neighbors that were there, friends of theirs that were at the house. Dinner was over, And as soon as dinner was over, Tammy and my two sisters cleared the table and started doing dishes. And they were just, because they weren't with each other all the time, so them to stand at the sink doing dishes and talking back and forth, yakking for whatever. That shouldn't say it that way, yakking, but it is. But they were enjoying the time standing there doing the dishes, and one of my mom's friends who was there said, "Good job. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased that your girls would just got up and automatically just go without being asked or told, and they were adults at the time, that just to go do that, and not and they said their children wouldn't. Okay, their children would sit there and let the stuff get crusty and old before they can put it in a dish and be able to wash it. Okay, teach them to serve. Okay, teach them to give. All right. Anyone else? Comments? Questions? Do you serve? How do you serve? I called Alan today. I was stuck in traffic. I'm supposed to leave work at 4 o'clock, Taze Valley. I was going to be here at 5 o'clock, make sure the door's unlocked so that people come in and have baptism. I was going to leave work at 4 o'clock. I was leaving, so I was going out the door at 4:15. My boss stopped me. I got to go. We had to talk about something for 10 minutes. I looked at my clock. It's 4:25. I'm 45 minutes away. I called Alan. Alan, can you get in and unlock the door? I'll be there as soon as I can. I made it here before the baptism, but right at 5 o'clock. But Alan didn't say, "No, I'm busy. I ain't gonna help you." Alan said, "I'll be right down there." So he was. He came down and unlocked the door. Cheryl was already here, clean the building, but immediately Alan just dropped what he was doing, and he said, "I got to help my neighbor with something, do something with a neighbor." But he came down here first and unlocked the door, let people in. Right? So that's serving, whatever capacity. Okay. Questions, comments? Is there anybody in your life that would say, "I love you more the more I love you, less I'll be loved"? In your life? Okay, let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Thank you for truth, forgiveness, and your word. Help us love people where we ought to. Help us show the mercy towards people, to be gracious in giving people better than what they deserve. Mercy and not retaliating against people the way our flesh would want to. And help us to serve people. To love people where we're supposed to, and to give the way we're supposed to be the Christians we ought to be. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Thanks for coming out tonight.